You're listening to the BBM Global Network with 25 years in broadcast audio and video production. Our passionate team creates content and marketing for the world of Internet Talk Radio. If you've got a passion, come join us at bbmglobalnetwork.com. The BBM Global Network. Your voice is now heard.
Welcome to Happiness Ninja Down Under with your host, Jamie Rose. Jamie will educate and empower people, organizations, and communities to help us all make better health and well-being choices. She will also engage you with expert influencers from around the world. So now, please welcome the host of Happiness Ninja Down Under, Jamie Rose.
Welcome to Happiness Ninja Down Under. I'm Jamie Rose, and you are tuned into Bold Brave TV. We have another awesome episode for you this week with an amazing person. Also here with me in New York City, I have 21-year-old Instagram influencer Eric Abrons with me. Thanks so much for joining me, Eric. Someone at a reasonable time for once.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome. So not only, as always, I like to get stuck diving deep into things straight away. So as I mentioned to the audience, you're only 21 and you're an Instagram influencer, but you're also the founder of a company called Ambi Nutrients, a health bar, aren't you?
Yes, yeah. So that's sort of been what I've been doing. Got into, I guess, the influencer scene in high school and then continued that to college. And then after one semester in college, I dropped out and began working on Ambi Nutrition. And, that's been super exciting. And, we're about a couple months in. So very exciting things.
Yeah, I've had both of your bars, and I could attest that they are delicious. Do you want to tell the audience a little bit about them, seeing as though we've jumped onto that to start with? Just share the flavors and a little bit of how they are different to most bars and how it fits your philosophy of health and fitness, because you're essentially a health and fitness Instagram influencer.
Yeah, absolutely. So, to start, we have two flavors. We have the original, which is nuts and honey, and then we have peanut butter dark chocolate. And, the first thing that definitely makes us different, and my focus was the fact that we're all natural, organic, no preservatives, no additives. There's nothing artificial in our bar. If you go to the ingredient list, you can name them all. There's nothing there that you're not familiar with. And so that's one aspect of it. But then it's also obviously the messaging too, which is huge for me. I remember watching a TED Talk where this guy, Simon Sinek, talks about how most companies and brands tell you what they do, how they do it, but very few tell you why they do it. And so for me, I wanted that to be a driving factor, the philosophy of the brand. And a lot of that, the big thing is to just be someone who is a conscious individual and ideally health conscious, someone who will make decisions for themselves, someone who will think for themselves, someone who is their own person in every single aspect of their life and, looking to grow physically, emotionally, spiritually. And so that's a big part of the philosophy of Ambi, and that's something that I want people to resonate with. There obviously is the product, and I think that's amazing. They taste great and they're great for you. But then there's also, what it stands for and the message that carries with it, So yeah.
And that's really important. Not only from your own personal perspective and the business world, but I think, any great company these days has some kind of philosophy and underarching, goal and motivation that's driving them forward. I know, you're really into the health and fitness and conscious awareness in general. Did you want to just talk a little bit more about, I know you've got like a mind, body, and spirit philosophy. Did you want to take us on that journey a little bit?
Yeah. So, I mean, something that when I started improving and working on myself, it definitely was more physical. I played basketball and then I got into weightlifting, but something that I definitely noticed is that there was a connection to the mental aspect too. And then as I began to explore that more, I thought that there was sort of a spiritual aspect. And then I sort of concluded that all growth is sort of interconnected, and that when you improve in one area of life, you improve in another area of life too. So when I'm working on my body and improving physically, I'm also improving mentally and psychologically. I'm becoming stronger. I can become more disciplined. I can become better at repeating habits and staying true to myself and so many different things. And, the practice of being with yourself, the practice of being aware in the moment, all these things are muscles, and these muscles are connected. And so it's been really amazing to sort of go on this journey of seeing how connected things really are. And that's a huge philosophy of Ambi Nutrition, because it's like, yes, you're working on your health and this is a product that's great for you in terms of its nutritious value, but then you're going to take that fuel and then go throughout your day, and maybe you go to the gym after your job and you're improving in that way. And so all these things are definitely connected. Yeah.
I mean, you're preaching to the choir. I'm very well aware and into the whole interconnection of everything, especially the spirituality side of things. I think what I find fascinating about you, only being 21, I mean, not only have you taken such a leap of courage in going against the status quo and dropping out of college. I did that myself. I'm in mid-30s and I'm still haven't finished my degree. I've nearly finished it now because I decided that I wanted to end up going back down that track for other reasons. But I know, being in America and seeing how heavy the colleges push for you guys here, I just wanted to mention that, it takes a lot of courage to go against what everybody else is doing. Have you found that, I'm assuming all your mates went to college? Did you have to find new friends? Did that cause any issues with your existing friends?
Right.
Can you touch on that for the audience?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, there's definitely a huge pressure to go to college, to continue your education, obviously. And most people weren't asking, like, are you going to school? It's where are you going? It's just sort of an assumption that you're going to go to college. And that definitely wasn't true for me. I definitely, I guess, maybe saw myself as different. I think we all kind of see ourselves as different, but maybe I was at somewhat of a different place than other people, because I wasn't really thinking about going on to college. I was more like questioning why am I going? What's the reason for that? And I've always been an introverted person. I've always just kind of gravitated towards myself and spent a lot of time alone. So it's not like I was ever dependent on having friends as like a necessity or being tied down to specific friends, because I've sort of just believed that everything happens for a reason, and that, the right people will find their way into my life. But I've always kind of trusted my intuition and like deep down what I want. And because I've spent so much time alone, I've been able to have trust with that. And I feel like the more times I've made decisions that are in line with my intuition, my deep down self, my authentic self, whatever you want to call it, has given me the ability to follow that. And so, I did go to college because I kind of wanted to have a little bit of that experience, but at the same time, I had sort of an inkling that there was more to life than being in a university and learning from sort of people that are telling you the answers and they have a curriculum and it's specific knowledge, rather than just going outside of the confines of that and just experiencing it and seeing life for what it is, and getting to explore that freely.
Well, as a avid traveler, I know and can completely wholeheartedly agree that the best experiences are learnt from just having them, not from reading a textbook and sitting in a classroom. So I'm with you on that one. We do have to cut to the break now, so we'll be back in a moment and we'll continue your journey, Eric. Thanks, guys. Stay tuned.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Welcome back to Happiness Ninja Down Under. I'm Jamie Rose, and this is the Bold Brave TV network. I have the awesome Eric Abrons with me. He is a 21-year-old health and fitness Instagram influencer and the founder of Ambi Nutrition. Thanks again for joining me, Eric. So just before the break, you were just telling the audience how you decided to go against the traditional route and what's expected, and you dropped out of college after a semester. What happened next? You've just started Ambi, but there must have been something in the middle to give you an idea on what direction to go. Do you want to lead us down that path a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So I dropped out and I was super inspired, very emotional and excited because this is sort of what had been waiting for, kind of. I'm finally not in school anymore and I finally get to just go out and do what I want. So it's like I was making lots of content on Instagram. And at that point, I was making a transition from sort of, my account then was mainly just fitness, and it was called Eric Abrons Fitness. And I was making a transition into more self-development and going into that space and talking more broadly about ways that you could improve your life, improve your well-being, be healthier, learning about the conscious, subconscious mind and all of that type of thing. And so I was just mainly spending my days, waking up super, super early, going to the gym, creating content on YouTube, Instagram, and then just watching tons and tons of different YouTube videos, podcasts, audiobooks, trying to learn as much as I can. Reading, still to this day, I spend a lot of time reading and trying to take in more information. But then it's like thinking about, obviously, like, what direction am I going? And that's where like Ambi came into play. I wanted to have like a solid foundation in like a business or a company, but then something that I could also put all of the things that I'm learning into, which would be, like the brand philosophy of Ambi. So I just continued to work on that. And I mean, it did take a little over 2 years for Ambi to even launch. So, dropping out of college, I got right to that. I had a few mentors that introduced me to some people, which was awesome because I needed to create a brand from scratch. And it's like, how do you do that? I was just sitting in a business class learning about businesses and all of that. And now it's like, I need to construct and build my own from nothing. So it was definitely exciting, but a little bit intimidating, and you kind of just learn as you go along. Yeah,
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Did you find what you were learning in the classroom when you went to actually apply it in your business? Did you find there was a disconnect and a challenge there to figure out actually what you're supposed to do in the real world rather than the theoretical world of a classroom? Because I know for me, that was a big thing.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely much different. I mean, in business class, it's more about, you're learning about numbers, you're learning about formulas and just a lot of different things that, I mean, I think they obviously go into the back end of business and such, but a lot of it wasn't translating to the stage that I was at and what I was doing. So I kind of just discarded all of that information because it wasn't really relevant to what I was doing. But it's like I was learning from lots of different entrepreneurs, who were also dropouts talking about their stories and what they were doing. And I found that very helpful. But there's definitely a huge disconnect between what I was learning in the classroom. Even though I wasn't there for long, I can't say that I was paying attention as some of the other students were. But I was just excited to learn and to learn from people who would be there to help me, and then to seek out all the information I could find in building this business. And then obviously, I knew that whatever preconceived notions or expectations I had, those would probably be destroyed by reality. And so I was just going to kind of go with the flow and let things happen and learn from it. Yeah.
So for me, what I guess find interesting is I was surprised that you didn't go down like the personal training kind of route first. Is that something you thought about, and what ultimately was the deciding factor to choose a health bar? There has to be some reason. Did you see a gap in the market? Were you not satisfied with the products that were existing? Touch on that a little bit for us.
Yeah. So, I mean, in terms of the actual product, I mean, I have had lots of different bars in my life, so that definitely was an area that I was familiar with and that I tried a lot of. But also, I saw lots of people doing things with like protein powders and pre-workouts and having everything centered around protein. And it's like, I don't even label our bar as a protein bar because of that stigma. So I kind of actually wanted to steer away from it and have it include everyone and just be it something that it's good for your health. Like anyone can enjoy this bar. It's a health bar, and if you care about your health, then this is something that is for you, that you can put in your body. And because necessarily not, it wasn't just the product that was the most important thing to me, but how I was going to deliver that product and then the message with that product. Because it's like, you can pick anything, but then it's like, are you going to be authentic with it? Are you going to be transparent? Is it actually going to be healthy? Are you going to put whole ingredients in it? And so it was more the approach that I was taking, and then the message that went along with that was definitely more valuable to me. So yeah.
and just back to, did you ever think about being a fitness trainer? Was there a deliberate reason you didn't go down that path, because that would be the standard expectation of you?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that I like briefly thought of, but it was always something that I only saw myself doing in the short term. And I guess in some aspects too, I saw it as just taking up more of my time. And although, yes, it's something that, I can make a little money from, it's something that I enjoy because I enjoy fitness and, you can connect with people. There were a lot of other things that I was more interested in exploring. At the time, I was getting into a little bit of modeling, which helped me get out of my comfort zone. I'm doing sponsorships. I'm still trying to create a lot of content and exploring so many new avenues. And I didn't feel like just taking on a part-time job as a personal trainer didn't exactly fit where I was. And so, yeah, I guess I just never took that path. Yeah.
Very interesting. Well, I mean, I've looked at some of your photos, obviously, and I would imagine that a lot of people reaching out to you for different areas of interest. So the world is your oyster at this point in time. We do have to cut to another break, but when we come back, we'll continue on with your journey. Stay tuned, guys.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like, it was almost instant. Like, I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. You know, it feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic on the BBM Global Network, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of the Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on the Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back to Happiness Ninja Down Under. I am Jamie Rose, the host of this series, and you are listening to Bold Braid Media. I have Instagram influencer Eric Abrons with me today. He is the founder of Ambi Nutrition, as well as he has started a new brand called Infinite Seeking. So, Eric, we're going to shift gears for this next segment, and I'm sure the audience would love to hear about what is the philosophy and the foundation behind Infinite Seeking, if you'd like to share that.
Yeah, absolutely. So Infinite Seeking was a brand that I wanted to create because I wanted to create something that was separate from myself and the personal brand that I developed and have been developing, because I wanted something to represent a philosophy and not have like a person or a name to sort of take credit for that and what that would be in terms of a brand. And so it really just started off as a blog. And writing was something that, although I hated writing in school or any sort of assignment type way, I learned to love writing a lot. And I was reading a lot as well. And so I wanted to express all these things that I was learning in a blog format. And so I started the Infinite Seeking blog. And what that's really about and what Infinite Seeking really means is to always be curious, because, you know, as kids, we're so curious, we're asking so many questions. It's like we have this sense of like hyper awareness. And that is something that I want to bring back into my life, and that I think would benefit so many people in their life if they had that curiosity, if they were to ask more questions, if they were to, you know, just be more in tune with themselves too. And, you know, why they think certain things, why they believe certain things, what certain things are, you know, determining the direction of their life, how they feel every single day when they wake up. And to realize that, like, just because you may have a story for yourself and for your life doesn't mean that you need to keep writing that story. That, you know, at any point you can sort of start a new book, if you will. And so, like, that really is a big part of Infinite Seeking, because I feel like so many people end up identifying with their mind, with their thoughts, with their beliefs. And so, you know, Infinite Seeking is just that reminder, like, hey, you're not that belief. You may latch onto it. Yeah, exactly. Like, objectively look at it, something that is separate from yourself, and continue to take on all these perspectives. So
it's almost like you're reminding people to get out of their own way, sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely. You know, and to step into that space of just being an observer, of just, you know, seeing things as they are and not as you are.
Do you find that you struggle to get on with people your own age? Well, not get on, but like connect with people, because you are, significantly more mature than most 21-year-olds, from what I have determined from you.
Yeah. I mean, just something that, I've noticed and you sort of realize when you really just observe things and watch things and become that spectator, is that a lot of things happen on the surface level. And a lot of things are sort of superficial. And it's not really something that you can escape. Obviously, you don't have to involve yourself with it as much. And I've definitely,
but in New York.
yeah. And like, I've definitely noticed that, there are certain things that I could not talk to pretty much any of my high school friends about, because they would either think I'm just saying a bunch of random things, or that it just doesn't make sense, or they're not ideas that they resonate with. And so I've definitely, sometimes we'll go into a different Eric and have to be that Eric because that's the Eric that they know. And I've obviously developed and grown a lot. And it's like, it's interesting because it's like people don't expect you to necessarily grow. But, because of that, I've definitely found that, I've connected to, authors in books and, been able to connect to people in different ways. And it's definitely, for me, anyway, being an introvert and someone who loves to spend a lot of time with themselves anyway, that it's definitely quality over quantity anyway. So I'm not looking for tons and tons of people that are going to understand the things that I'm saying and have like a passion for the things that I'm saying. It's sort of just understood that I'm kind of exploring an esoteric area of life. And so the average person is not going to resonate with that as much, which I think I'm aware of. So it's helpful.
Yeah. I mean, that it's the awareness that counts, because I know I felt the same, and I struggled a lot growing up because of that. But if you can identify and separate yourself and already, then you're one step ahead. I just going back to what you were saying earlier, I think that the whole curiosity thing, I want to dig deeper into that, because I'm sure you found this with people as well, especially your age. I definitely have with my age and with all generations. But I think that the younger generation, this is particularly permeant for, because you have all this technology at your fingertips. I think that often people, they lose that curiosity because they can just go and they think they can just go and find out information at the drop of a hat. But because of that ability to gain that knowledge, so quickly on our smartphone as we're walking around on the street, almost getting hit by a car because we're paying more attention to what's on the screen in front of us than real life, this can cause almost like, I don't know if arrogance is the right word, but people seem to have lost their curiosity. Like they're more like ego-based than curious. Are you finding this with younger people? And what are your thoughts on it? How do you circumnavigate that yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for one thing, when we're young, we're thrown into school, so we're already consumed and distracted, a decent amount. And then you have like the rise of technology where everything is online, and it's like you're developing this persona online, and even younger and younger kids have social media. And, you're distracted by these impulses, so much stimulation, there's no space to really just be and look around, because it's like you're completely attached to this thing that is constantly feeding you, and that creates that feedback loop. And so you definitely do lose that curiosity. I mean, it makes it extremely difficult. And, that's like becoming a part of our culture. And, I do think to some degree that it's a little bit scary, because it's like at what point are we not even human beings? We're being programmed in so many ways. All these impulses, we're dependent on all these things outside of ourselves and the instant gratification. And I think it's definitely a toxic cycle, and something that I've definitely been aware of and tried to stray away from.
Well, actually, the worst part for me about technology that I think a lot of people miss is it is actually changing the structure of our brains with the constant release of dopamine, which is the chemical that keeps us drawing us back to making us addicted to these smartphones. We have to cut to the break soon, so we can't get into it too much now. When we return, we can. But yeah, it is. I agree. It's alarming and it's scary. I even know for myself, I can tell the difference between my brain functionality pre all of this technology bombarding you and constantly walking around with a smartphone in your hand. It does. It's very alarming. I know you can't really reply because we have to cut to the break, but we'll come back and maybe you can continue on with some thoughts on that. Stay tuned, guys.
The opiate epidemic has reached crisis levels, and with so many families affected by addiction, opiate-related drug overdoses, and death, the time is now to have a real constructive conversation about addiction that could lead to better prevention, treatment, and recovery. Alan Charles, author and keynote speaker on drug abuse and prevention, presents The Alan Charles Show. Alan brings a message of hope, sharing his unbelievable story of surviving a 24-year addiction to cocaine and highlights from his memoir, Walking Out the Other Side, an addict's journey from loneliness to life. His raw honesty and courageous heart breaks the stigma of addiction and offers a unique perspective into the mind of an addict. Join Alan each week as he brings his listeners to a true understanding of the grip of addiction. It is only with this understanding that we can begin to heal. The Alan Charles Show, Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network. Have you ever felt like no one is listening, or you're not getting the honest attention you deserve? Do you even know the kind of attention you want or need? You are not alone. Alice Aspen March is here to help. Thanks to Alice, through her epiphany and research over the word attention, there are solutions to the attention dilemma. Worldwide audiences have been enthralled and engaged for over 40 years with her visionary and pioneering observations. The kind of attention we get and give is vital to improving our lives and society. Alice and her weekly guests review game-changing insights for transforming and improving our understanding of attention, providing techniques for creating healthier and empowering behavior. Get a new perspective on a mainstream word. Tune into Why Our Attention Matters for fresh and thought-provoking conversations every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern on boldbravemedia.com and the TuneIn Radio app.
Welcome back to Happiness Ninja Down Under. I'm Jamie Rose, and this is Bold Brave Media. Before the break, we were starting to get into technology and how it's changing our brain functions and our concerns around that. I have Instagram influencer and founder of Ambi Nutrition and Infinite Seeking with me, Eric Abrons. Eric, sorry, you didn't have a chance to respond, but I'm sure you have quite a lot to say on that, considering it's very permeant in your younger generations and day-to-day lives.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And what you were briefly saying about ego is definitely true. I mean, I think it is definitely centered around our ego, and our ego is the thing that is always looking for those hits of dopamine, for that instant gratification. That's why you see kids so often, they're constantly on games. They're constantly drawn in and consumed by, various forms of technology. And so, when you're living in this ego state, when your mind is constantly active, there's no room for awareness. And, not to get too deep, but like my idea of like who you actually are, who we all are is our awareness, and that's where our being lies, in that observer state. To be curious, our consciousness that is all sort of detached from ego. So when we're growing up and everything is centered around the ego, the idea that we have for who we are, and then comparing ourselves to others, and everything being above the surface, and competing with other people, looking to the next person, you end up living in a world where we're all so disconnected from who we are, and we're pretending to be this character, and then we're comparing ourselves to people who, and it's like everyone's pretending it's not who they are. And same thing with social media, something that I've been in for a while now, and you definitely notice that most people's Instagram, it's just a highlight reel. You don't get the real, you don't get the raw, you don't get the whole spectrum of all experiences, because everyone goes through ups and downs. That's what it means to be a human being, is to experience all of these things. And it's like people get a different idea of that. And it's because they're constantly, they're watching their favorite Instagram influencer, they're watching their favorite YouTuber, and then they develop this falsified idea of reality and they try to chase it. And it's like, you can never attain that, because it's not real. It's not true. And they're not even going through that. It's just what you see. But, that's why it's definitely so true that your perception really is your reality. How you perceive things is what they are.
Exactly. And I mean, that's going deep within the quantum world there.
Yeah.
Which I love to talk about, but it does go beyond some people's scope of understanding. Because then, we're talking about microcellular particles and frequencies that we can't see with our human eye, that, every single, both you and I are aware of this, that every single thought, behavior, emotion, feeling, everything that we put into our body, everything that we take on, that we listen to, this all affects us on a microcellular frequency perspective. And if you're constantly telling yourself, like negative thoughts, or even not even negative thoughts, just being distracted by, like you were talking about, this rise of the gaming world, people don't even have time to sit back and reflect. So then they're not giving themselves time to even contemplate these things.
Right. To
get deeper and dig deeper and deeper. How do you cope with that I know that you're introspective and you're an introvert, so you don't need the stimuli of people, but it must still, like, if we stay alone too much, it can affect our happiness. We are social beings. I'm just curious, how do you take this on board, but keep yourself motivated and happy if you are dealing with tribulations and this constant influx of people who aren't on your wavelength? Yeah.
Well, something that you can always do, even if things don't go along with your approach and what you're trying to do, is you can always learn from it. And so that's definitely one approach that I'm trying to take on. But I'm trying to focus on the things that I can control, because obviously there's so much that is outside of my control. And I've definitely found, like, along the way, I've met some amazing people, and every time I've met those amazing people who do meet me on that wavelength, on that vibration, with a similar energy, and open to conversation, open to all these ideas, they sort of just come into my life. It's not like I was looking for specific people. It's not like I'm chasing after them, trying to find my best friend or something like that, or someone that I can talk to these things about. Because I feel like when you truly start the journey of getting to know yourself, I don't think that you ever figure out who you are and get to know yourself conclusively. But when you start to do that, I feel like people are attracted into your life who are kind of doing the same thing. And that is definitely one of the benefits of social media, because although there are a lot of unhealthy aspects, meeting new people and meeting people with similar interests is something that is much more possible because of social media. And because, I can put out a video of me talking about self-awareness, and, someone can come across that, and they could also be making content. And then, you get together that way, and then you're meeting this person face to face. And that's pretty amazing. And so as it goes for things outside of myself, and dealing with that, that's just continuing to try to observe as much as possible, to not latch on to the feelings and thoughts and all the trivial things that are going on outside of myself. But to definitely watch them, to definitely try to learn from them, to let them pass through, and be honest with myself about how they're affecting me. Some days are not my best days, and that's perfectly normal. And that's something that, is part of this experience. But yeah, I think when you have trust in yourself, you have trust in things working out the way they should.
Yeah, exactly. And also, you did hit the nail on the head in terms of there's many unhealthy aspects of social media and technology, but
Yeah.
it does let us reach people and we can influence people. So we have to cut to the break, but it's all about balance, finding that balance. So we'll continue on with this when we come back from the break, guys.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Welcome back to Happiness Ninja Down Under. I'm Jamie Rose, and this is Bold Brave TV. I have Instagram influencer and founder Eric. I keep cutting you off because of the breaks. I do apologize. We were just talking about things on a deeper perspective, a microcellular level, the ego, how technology is changing the structures of our brain. We were getting into a lot of different things there. What do you see as like some crucial tips for people your age that might watch this and find it inspirational, and it might plant a seed in their own minds, to sort of follow a different path? How can you advise younger people who might not know where to start to follow you and to dig deeper into their own self-discovery journey?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely more difficult at a younger age because, your consciousness is still developing and there's so much going on and so much that you have to pay attention to and some things that you can't get out of in terms of responsibilities. But I would say one thing that's always been important to me is to be comfortable in your own company. And because that's really the start of going deeper with the relationship with yourself, is just being comfortable in that space. Because when we spend so much time with our friends, surrounded by other people, there's always this noise, there's always some sort of stimulation. We don't become acquainted at all with just stillness and with just silence and just being with our thoughts.
Which is feeding the ego.
Yeah, exactly. And just being with our feelings and just being able to be there, not to necessarily label anything, not to jump to the assumption that, I'm thinking this is bad, I'm feeling this way, I shouldn't be feeling this way, but just to become comfortable in that space of being you. I would say that that's really the best place that you can start, because then as you get more comfortable, same thing with any relationship, when you meet someone new, it's like treat yourself like someone you're getting to know, you know. First step is really just getting comfortable, and then you can start to have those conversations. And, you know, something that I've done for a while now, and, you know, it depends on the comfort level you have, but I've literally had conversations with myself out loud where I'll literally treat my ego as another person. And so it's the awareness there. And I'm saying, like, why do you feel this way? Like, where does this feeling come from? And then you start to figure out where certain feelings come from and where certain thoughts come from. And then you can understand when a thought isn't true. And maybe you've been validating a certain thought, and that's been determining how you feel about yourself. And then once you get to the root of that, you don't have to think that anymore. Or you can sort of get your own power and control back when you just start to get to know yourself and become comfortable in your own company.
I really like the way that you've approached that, in terms of, like, you said you started your ego and treating it as a separate person. There is so much power in doing that. I think that is, journaling is very powerful, and it has the same kind of effect. But I think for young people who might struggle with writing, that it is a common theme as we increase in our technology, our ability to write so well, and add up numbers in our head. This is a factor that is declining. So for those who do struggle with the writing component of things, I think that is a really, really cool little tip that will help to bring that separation. I was going to ask you, do you formally meditate, or do you just create space to allow yourself to think? Because essentially that's meditation, formal meditation is the whole principle behind what you've just said. But that's the first time that I have actually heard of that exercise of talking to yourself out loud as a separate person. And I really just want to commend you for that. I think that is a really, really cool thing that other young people, anyone, can do to help themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I've done some formal meditation before, and obviously, looked into that, because meditation is a huge and amazing practice for practicing stillness, for being more in touch with your thoughts and feelings and all of that. But I would say that you don't need to look at meditation as necessarily a formal thing, but just being with yourself. Because sometimes I find I take walks, and I would say that, like, I've done some form of meditation just walking, because I'm just presently there. I'm aware. I'm watching my thoughts. I'm watching everything around me, go and pass. And so it's like, when you step into that awareness, meditation is more of something that just happens. And something that's definitely helped me too, which is something that I would say is just, when you're younger, to do things that you're passionate about. I always played basketball, and I found that, when I would play basketball a lot, I'd play by myself, I would enter this sort of flow state where I escaped, time and space and all of that. And you can find yourself in doing things that you are passionate about and following your intuition in that sense. Because for me, basketball led me to fitness, which led me more just into self-development. And so it was always following my passions that led me in the right direction and helped me in my journey of self-discovery and self-growth.
Yeah, and unfortunately, a lot of people just get stuck in the life that they're thrown into, and they just give up on trying to create the life that they actually want. And essentially, that is ultimately the key to happiness as well. Yes, we have to be able to rise and fall graciously with the ups and downs and the ebbs and flows of life. But to be able to understand that we have the power ourselves. And, I see a lot of people, they're on autopilot, they're going about their day. But if you actually sat down and asked them, like, what makes you happy? And then, okay, so you get the answer, what makes them happy. How often do you do the things that make you happy? Most people are not doing the things that make themselves happy on a regular basis. And if you just strip things down to that simple level, it's kind of crazy, don't you think? Like, we're going around doing things that make us miserable instead of making ourselves happy. And then we convince ourselves that we have no choice in that and that this is life and we're just stuck.
And that's
this
sort of the victim mentality, yeah, which sadly so many people take on.
Exactly, yeah. So we do have to cut to another break, and we're nearly at the end of the show. We have the one segment left, so we'll come back and we'll wrap up this. So stay tuned, guys. We'll be back with Eric.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant, like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. You know, it feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic on the BBM Global Network, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of the Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on the Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com. Welcome back to Happiness Ninja Down Under. I'm Jamie Rose, and you're tuned into Bold Brave TV. We are nearly at the end of this segment. I have Eric Abrons with me. He is the founder of Ambi Nutrition. Thanks again, Eric, for your time today. You're an incredible 21-year-old, I have to say, and I do hope that the audience has found you inspirational. And I just wanted to give you a chance to wrap up on any of your final thoughts, and to let people know how they can follow you on all of the social platforms that you're on. Do you want to give yourself a bit of a plug?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I guess the first thing I'll just start with is that, you know, we're all a unique individual. And I think that that's the value that we can all give to the world, that we can all express, that we all have something that makes us us, and that's our nature. And I think that the greatest thing that we can do in life is to start to uncover that. You know, for me, through basketball and fitness and so many different avenues, I've found that I feel like my purpose is really just expressing myself, and the messages that I can share, that I'll constantly be learning and finding in books and through people and relationships that I have. And you know, the only thing that you can really be certain of in this life is yourself, and everything that you experience is literally through yourself. You can't go anywhere without yourself. And I know that sounds obvious, but you know, for me, that's why I just find it so important and so valuable to get to know the person that is out in the world, getting to know everything and going through all these experiences. And although life is short, it's also very long, and there's a lot to it. And this is a lifelong journey, and I think that learning is as well. And so I think that's something that we should embrace, you know, but also don't rush and don't compare yourself to someone else, because you have a gift that they don't have, and they have a gift that you don't have. And so, you know, it's not about that person. And then, you know, obviously, you know, you can find me on Infinite Seeking, on TikTok, on Instagram, ambinutrition.com for the most amazing nutrition bars, and Ambi Nutrition on Instagram. And then, yeah, you could also follow along with me on Instagram at Eric_Abrons. So, yeah, those are my final thoughts.
Infinite Seeking?
Yeah, Infinite Seeking on TikTok and Infinite Seeking on Instagram.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
And just as a side note, I'd like to share with everyone. So the peanut butter the bars. What's it? Sorry,
Peanut butter dark chocolate chip. Yeah.
Sorry, peanut and dark chocolate. So I just want to give everyone if you put them in the fridge, they go up to next level. So I'm a big fan. I mean, it's all about nourishing your system, but I really, really just love the bars in the fridge. So it's not something that, everybody is doing with your bars, Eric, but I just wanted to put that little seed in there, put them in the fridge, and they go up even an extra dot. So thank you so much for having us.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I put that little tip out for everybody.
Yes.
Thank you again for joining us. Definitely, tune in and follow Eric. He's an up-and-coming rising person in this world. He's got a lot going for him, and he's a beautiful, beautiful soul. So, I thank you, Eric, and just keep on the path, keep being curious, and keep forging strong.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jamie, and thank you so much for having me.
Very, very welcome. We'll see you next week, guys. Stay tuned and take care and have a good weekend. Bye now.
This has been Happiness Ninja Down Under with your host, Jamie Rose. Tune in each week and join the conversation as Jamie highlights the true power of the human mind to create a thriving world. Right here on Jamie Rose's Happiness Ninja Down Under.
You've been listening to the BBM Global Network. The ideas, views, and opinions of this broadcast are those of the participants of the program and are not necessarily the ideas, views, and opinions of the BBM Global Network Company.